Okay. Let's see if we're looking okay to start streaming here. Seems like we are. Let me go ahead and share this link out with the rest of my social media following, and we will go ahead and get started. And also give people just a second here to tune in to the stream here as we get started. Awesome. Okay. We seem to be all set on my end. Let me just pull it up here so I can see the chat. How's it going, traders? Welcome to today's Saturday analysis, Saturday stream, Saturday webinar that we're doing here on the charts. Kind of want to get in here and just hang out with people, do a little bit of Forex analysis as well as talk about strategies, talk about trading in general. How's everybody doing? Good to see you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's stream. If you're just tuning in, welcome. My name is Trader Nick. I make all sorts of content for traders. And if you're enjoying these streams, you can let me know by liking the video down below. And also check out some of my other content as well. Today I'm going to be chatting with you guys about general trading strategies, going to be talking about overall stuff going on in the market, and really just wanted to open it up and let you guys come in here and ask questions and really just work with me on the charts for a little bit. I see Ken and Iman also here in the stream, so thanks so much for being here. Good to see you guys. Welcome to the stream. Very glad to be with you guys. Happy Saturday, and for those of you guys who are crazy enough to be putting in some work on a Saturday, good for you. That's how it gets done. That's how you make changes in your life, so good to see you guys here in the stream. What we're going to do here again is we're going to go through some charts. We're going to talk about trading strategies. We're going to talk about stuff. So if you have anything you'd like to ask me at any time during the stream, feel free to ask. We're not really pressed for time or anything, but if you guys have certain charts you would like me to look at, I'm happy to do that for you. Happy to pull up charts that you'd like me to look at, as well as just talk about general trading strategies. We had some really interesting stuff go on with NFP this week. We saw some bearishness on the US dollar. A lot of people struggling with the US dollar recently. We've had a really tough market environment for a lot of people lately. If you're a trend follower, then obviously it's been a really good time because there are movements that you could have taken advantage of. Even going to like something like the pound dollar. If you're a trend follower, this has been a really good environment for you. Let me give you guys a very simple example of one way that you can track kind of moving average strategies and how they're doing. I'm sorry, not moving average strategies, but generally just trend following strategies, right? Let's say we get a 20 period MA here, and let's make it, let's go ahead and make it blue, right? And then let's talk about if we also add a 50 period. Check this out, guys. This is a quick way, if you're focusing on the stream, one way you can tell generally if market environments are trending or non-trending is you can kind of look at the smoothness of moving average crossover strategies. So let's look at a 4-hour chart and take a look at this. We're looking at GBP USD. Check how when price moved under and you saw that cross, we saw a really nice continuation there to the downside, right? And we had that continued sell-off until we crossed back up. A lot of times when you're in a market where trend following is doing really well, you'll see those moving averages work really in your favor. But check it out, like right now, this is a different market environment. This market environment is more choppy, and you're going to see trend following perform a little bit less optimally, right? So sometimes people will try and tell you, you know, I've had people come in, you know, to my streams or send me messages saying, Nick, your trading strategy just doesn't work, or it's nonsense. And sure, you can make any, and this is important to talk about, you can make any trading strategy look really good or really bad. There's always times where any strategy is going to work well or work bad. For example, if you're trading reversals, like let's say you're using, in fact, let's pull up a Bollinger Band, right? Let's talk about a simple Bollinger Band strategy, okay? I think that this is really interesting to talk about. If you're looking at a Bollinger Band strategy right here, right? Let's say you're looking at when price gets stretched to the downside, you're going to buy, and when price gets stretched to the upside, you're going to sell. So for example, when price came down here, you see price looking stretched to the downside, we picked up some buys, and we saw a rally to the upside. Again, when price got up here, you sold, it went back down, you bought, it went back up. Sure, that looks really good from the perspective of, okay, in this market environment, it looks fantastic, right? It looks like we're going to make a lot of money with this trading strategy. But then, let's check this out, guys, because look at what happens here. Then we have a different market environment come into play. here's a trending environment. Look, if you had tried to buy this, look what happened here, right? We had a massive sell-off and price continued to rally lower or fall lower. So when talking about trading strategies, I get this question quite often. How do you know what to trade? And I really do think it's very important when you're a trading strategy, when you're trading using technical analysis, to understand the market environment that you're in. I can't emphasize how important that is, but it truly can make the difference between trading success and not. Is you have to understand, okay, what's my market environment that I'm trading in? And currently what we see right now is we see some really trending market types, meaning that the markets have been following through on a lot of motion due to the fact that we have some volatility in what's going on. So for example, let's take a look at USD CAD for example. We've been in a choppy market environment for quite some time, right? And what's interesting here is that we've seen price start to really fall and to continue to fall, and maybe that's a sign that the market environment here is changing on USD CAD. Something to consider when looking at charts like this, right? A moving average crossover strategy can be great or it can be terrible depending on the market environment that you're working with. USD CAD, interestingly enough, also though, I'd like to just kind of do a little quick analysis here. I do think that interestingly with USD CAD, we have fallen quite far. But we came into contact temporarily, and looks like we fell through this level. But this structural level was one that I expected to see some sort of bounce. But there's still also this level here, which is a relatively strong support zone. So this whole area that we're currently trading right around in would be really interesting to watch next week on USD CAD, because I think that there's a good chance that we get some sort of a bounce here. I think that the chances are pretty good that we see some sort of a bounce here, especially when you take into consideration the longer term trend here. Let's back it up to a daily really quick, guys, here. Looking at USD CAD again, for those of you guys who are just tuning in, I see Johannes is here. Good to see you, Johannes. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks all of you guys for showing up and being here with me as I take a look at the charts on a Saturday. You're crazy for being here, but I just had some time to kill, and I wanted to take a look at kind of just a low-stress stream, kind of just hanging out here, chatting about trading, chatting about market setups, strategy types, all of that sort of thing. So I do hope that you get something out of today's little stream here. Ken says that if you're in a drawdown on a pair and you see it move the opposite direction, would you open a trade opposite of your initial trade? I hope that makes sense. It does make sense. It's a hedging position, right? And Ken, there's a lot to be said about hedging. Hedging is an interesting concept. If you've ever heard of a hedge fund, a lot of times they do hedge their positions. And hedging is one of those things that personally I don't do too often. Because hedging it's a funny thing, because hedging, it can be really tough because the market can chop back and forth and really kind of screw you over. Let's say, for example, right now, right, that you're looking at USD CAD. There's always a reason to not trade a strategy. There's always a thing that's going to make a strategy look stupid, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. But you have to consider, let's say you're hedging your position. That's a great point, Ken. Thanks very much for sharing that. We expect right now that we see a bounce, right? There's a good chance that this structural level, we find some sort of buyer support in favor of that long-term trend. I also see Gary in here and Terminator Gaming. Good to see you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in to the stream. You guys are the real deal. If you're here on a Saturday, I do appreciate you taking the time. The Rapsican says USD/JPY is at a major structure support zone, looking on the weekly. Now that the weekly candle closed as a rejection indecision, set stop loss below this week's low. Let's take a look at USD/JPY in just a second. Sure, we definitely can do that. Again, that's what I'm here for on a Saturday, hanging out with you guys, taking a look at the charts, and also just chatting trading, right? Talking about trading. I think Ken brought up a really good point. Dealing with drawdown, hedging. Let's talk about both of those in the context of USD Canadian, because I think that it's relevant, okay? USD CAD. Let's say that you think that this is going to be a good chance for a buy, but you're not sure, and you decide, well, maybe I can hedge my bets here and I can set a sell trade so that if markets continue to go lower, I'm not going to get hurt there. Well, in some ways, sure, that it can work, right? But again, it comes down to kind of you have to time the market well, because like let's say that you try and sell right here. Let's go ahead and illustrate this. Let's say that you buy right here, right? And you also sell. Right? So you sell and you buy here. Well, if the market goes down and you close your sell position, let's say the market does go down and you close your sell position, Well, that's kind of a bet that now you think it's going to go up from here, and what if it continues to go lower? It's a little bit confusing. Hedging is kind of a tricky topic. I should probably prepare a more detailed video. But let's say it goes down and you close out your sell position. That's cool. You've made a little bit of money on your sell position, but you've still got that buy position up here. And now if the market continues to go lower, you've kind of still, cause yourself some trouble. In my opinion, personally, I don't love to hedge. I would personally prefer to find ways to either add to the position that I already have, if I like the setup, if I like a technical setup, or find a way to get out of that buy position for a moderate loss. And that's exactly what a lot of times I do in my own trading. Let's say I buy here and I end up, the trade goes against me. I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to panic. I still can make money so long as I manage my risk and I keep my position small. And in fact, I might not actually make money on this trade, but I'm looking to overall make money, if that makes sense, Ken. Right? So let's say that I buy here and price goes against me. It continues to go lower. Well, I can either do a couple things. I can add another position, right? I can build to my position, or I can look to just get out at some sort of moderate response. So let's say I buy here and price goes down. Well, if I just close out here, I take a big loss, and I don't know that I want to necessarily do that. But a lot of times markets are cyclical. And this is one of the basis of what my trading success has come from, is the basis of trading the fact that markets are cyclical and not taking max losses. A lot of people like to use hard stop losses, and sure, that can work. But for me, I have a strategy that I like to use that involves not using max losses, right? Not using big stop outs. So instead, I'll wait for price to kind of retrace, and I'll just get out of the position for a smaller size loss. For example, let's say I buy here. I know this is a little bit confusing, but bear with me. Let's say I buy here and price goes against me, and I decide, you know what, I was wrong about the trade, no big deal. I'm not going to stop out here. I'm going to wait for price to retrace a little bit, and I'll get out right there. Let's say I get out right here. So I've taken my loss. Instead of taking a loss down here, I took a loss down here. Now, there's no guarantees that that's going to happen, and technically price could continue lower, but that can, right there, and to anybody who's paying attention to this concept, that's why we keep our position small, so that a big movement against us is not going to wipe out the account. We keep things really small, and we wait to get out at a moderately sized loss. So for example, in this case, if price does continue to go lower, it's not going to be fun. We're still going to have to take a loser, but we can take a smaller loser than we would down here. Right? There's always the perfect scenario that people are going to tell you, well, why didn't you close your loss back here? And the problem is we don't know where the market's going. We just kind of adapt. Hopefully that makes sense. I know that was a little bit of a long-winded answer, but personally I don't love to hedge. I personally like to work with positions. Position trading is something that hedge funds do, that institutions do. They don't use a hard stop loss. And there's multiple ways. I do use a stop loss in some of my trading, and then in other parts of my trading, I do not use a stop loss. There can be success both ways. The internet will try and tell you can't possibly manage risk without a stop loss, and that's simply not true, because you can go find a lot of hedge funds and institutions that are not using stop losses successfully. It's really a matter of perspective, what you personally like. There's not a right or wrong thing in trading. This isn't mathematics, right? This is a little bit more artistic than just a science. Ken says, not that I would like to hedge, just curious. Ken, I'm totally with you. There's times where hedging could actually work. I'm not saying that hedging is a bad thing. In fact, when it comes to trading, I don't believe there's a bad thing per se. The only thing I think is bad is over leveraging your account, unless you personally like that risk. If so, go for it. So let's take a look at USD JPY in a second for the Rapskin. I'd love to do that. Ibzan, hopefully I said your name right. Good to see you. Thanks so much for tuning into the stream. What about trapping the price with a buy stop and sell stop? Again, actually, I love that you brought that up. Thank you very much for sharing that idea. Let's talk about it really quick. So, trapping price, okay? Again, there is no perfect system. I want anybody who's listening to this right now, you will save yourself a lot of headache, a lot of time. Because I did this, and most traders do this. You can save yourself a lot of time, and instead of chasing the perfect system that never has any downside, stop doing that. Learn to use smaller positions and deal with trades that go against you. People are looking for example, okay, and I'm not saying that trapping price is bad. It can totally work, but there is going to be no perfect system. For example, let's say that you trap price right here on USD CAD. right? Let's say that you're like, okay, you know what? I don't care where the market goes. I'm ready to buy or sell the breakouts, right? You say, you know, if I think price is going to go up from here, I'm going to buy into this position. I'm going to try and ride up the movement. And if it breaks down lower, right? Let's say this is our major structural level of support. We're currently testing support right now. Right? If price goes down, I'm going to sell it, right? I'm going to sell stop into this position. Totally can work if the market continues to be a trending one. It can also be not effective if the market decides to not be a trending one. So for example, here's where it would work, right? Let's say that USD CAD rallies back up from this support line and we make a nice trade. Well, if we bought in right there, fantastic. We just made nice profits off of buying into that momentum, right? And similarly, if we sold into that market dip, right? If we sold off when price breaks through there, great, we've just made money. So in some theory, right, you've made money either way if the market decides to push one way or another, right? So thinking about that from a little bit more of a perspective of, okay, that's the good side. Let's talk about the bad side, because every trading strategy, again, trying to save you guys some time that I lost, there's no perfect system that's going to make it work every single time. There's no perfect idea it does not exist. It's not out there. Don't look for that. That's going to make you spin in circles for years and years. I spent probably 2 years looking for a system that was perfect and trying to program it. There's ways to make money without it being a perfect system. It means that you have to deal with discipline, drawdown, pain, suffering, all the things you don't want to deal with. That's how you become a consistent trader. I'm trying to help you out there. Once I realized that, my consistency came shooting back up, right? My consistency in trading started to work out when I realized that it's going to stink sometimes. Sometimes trading's just not going to be fun, and I'm going to have to deal with the pain points, right? Here's the bad side. You try and sell when it gets down. You try and buy when it goes up. You try and sell when it goes down. You try and buy. Very quickly, what happens is the price whips you out. That's our 3 scenarios. We either get that strong continuation to the upside, or you get that strong continuation to the downside, or we get a choppy market where we tried and buy and sell and price just didn't follow through anywhere. That's where trying to kind of put brackets on the market, that's what I like to call it, bracket trading, it would suffer. Right? It can work in a market where price is going to be very, very solid and continuation based, and some people will try and do that with the news because they know price is going to spike one way or spike the other way. And again, I wish it was perfect, but it is not perfect because brokers will sometimes freeze platforms. Spreads can be outrageously bad and put you at horrible entries, right? Price can go both ways at the same time. When it comes to trading news, sometimes price will just go bam, bam, and whip you into both positions, and suddenly you're holding a big loser. So there's no perfect system, guys. But listen, I do appreciate you bringing that up, Ibzan. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry about that. Seriously, good question, because this can work. Don't get me wrong. But there are some caveats. There are things to consider here. Let's say this is your strategy. What do we want to look for? We want to look for markets that are not likely to chop around, right? So would USD Canadian back here be a good place to do this? Absolutely not. USD Canadian over here though, right? If you knew that this market environment was pretty continuation based, something like GBP, JPY, by the way, I have a robot that does this exact type of trading. It's called the Python robot. It's on my trading channel. You can find that video and you can watch that if you have any interest in trading with a robot. I personally use that robot for this type of strategy base. I only like to use it in markets that are trending. That's the key component to that trading strategy, right? We want to trade a market that's going to continue more so than it's going to chop around, which is not easy to find, but it can happen, right? So that's a way to consider looking at that type of thing. It's called a Python trading robot. Again, it's on my channel. You can go find that if you'd like to check out that robot, and I'd be happy to set you up with that robot if you have any interest in getting that. So Ken says, I believe in your philosophy. Well, you know what? It's not quite a philosophy. It's more like a throwing darts against a board long enough and you figure out some stuff that works and some stuff that doesn't. But I do appreciate you tuning in, and thanks again for your comments there. Malik says, what is a good leverage for a beginner? Good question. As much leverage as you possibly can and use as little of it as you possibly can. So if you can get 500 to 1, that's fantastic, but don't use it all. You know why? Because one big loser, right? People come into the Forex market and they think that they need a lot of leverage so that they can take their $20 and they can turn it into 10,000. That will work for 1 in 100 people, but everyone else is going to lose their $20. They're going to lose all their money, right? So if you want to trade successfully, you need to learn to not actually over leverage your account. I promise you that's the number one thing that I get from traders. I work with traders every day, and every other day it feels like somebody sends me a message showing me that they've lost a bunch of their money, and they're like, Nick, what do I do? And I'm like, well, you over leveraged. It's not something, it's a sad reality because a lot of people they're not properly educated on this topic of over leveraging your account. Just because you can get a bunch of leverage, guys, does not mean you should use it all. Don't use leverage that you don't need. It's like trying to trade with money that's not yours, or borrowing money that's not yours. It's just going to end dangerously if you're not sure in what you're doing, right? So with leverage, great question. Thank you very much for asking that one. I do appreciate you. All of you guys tuning into the stream, but especially that question was great because that's a very, very common mistake. And I'm telling you guys, people lose all their money in their trading account because they over leverage. Don't do that. One of the best ways to lose your money is to over leverage. One of the best ways to properly make money is to reduce your risk size and to work with trades, as well as learn to master the markets. You guys need to be pouring time and effort into your charting, into your risk management knowledge. All of this stuff on my channel, I'm not doing this just for fun. I'm doing it to help people that are out there who genuinely want to learn. Additionally, that's why I offer my membership group, is for people who are serious enough to take it to the next level and stick around, right? Gary says low leverage micro account for starts. Absolutely. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. What's cool is you guys who stick around on my streams, you guys are starting to get it. You start to see the picture. Ken comes to all of these streams. Gary comes to a lot of these streams. Minnie comes to these streams. You guys who are in here time and time again, it's not me. It's you coming back to the stream that's going to make you successful. It's coming back and talking with traders and participating in our community. All that stuff is what really will help you. I'm not just saying it. It's something that I wish I had when I was learning to trade, because it's priceless to start to learn the realities of what makes consistent traders. The very simple reality about trading success is that it involves a lot of pain, suffering, and a lot of time invested. It's not something that's easy, but you guys know this. That's why you keep showing up. So I want to say it to you because because you guys are here, and I want to encourage that. I want to continue to encourage you to come back to these streams and work with me on the charts. I'm here. Use me. It's free, right? My streams are free. Of course, those of you guys who are in the VIP room, we go a little bit deeper. We work a little bit harder together on charting, and you get real access time to my trading. And it's not perfect. I never guarantee any sort of profits, and I'm doing what I'm doing, and you guys are crazy enough to work along with me. I've been doing this a long time. It's my passion, and I love sharing it with other traders, but it's not Lamborghinis and mansions. And if that's what you are looking for, my trading group is not the place to be. We're not there to promote false realities. We're there to promote real trading and what it really looks like to be consistent. Let's talk about USDJPY, guys, really quick. I did mention that I wanted to talk about this, and I feel bad because I have been blabbering on, but you guys have been asking some fantastic questions, so let me make sure I just respond to them. So Ibzan says, a lot of thanks, bro. You're the best. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much for being here on a Saturday, you crazy guys and girls who are showing up on a Saturday and working on the charts with me. Let's take a look at XAU USD. We sure can do that, for sure. I'll add that to the next one. Again, Gary says low leverage, micro account. Very, very, very good advice there. Demo accounts are great, but they don't give you that emotional response that you need to experience and you need to suffer through in order to be a successful trader. Some people will sit on a demo account, guys, for years, not actually trading, thinking that once they finally master it on the demo account, they're going to come into the real thing and make a bunch of money. And you guys know as well as I do that that's just not how it goes. Emotions are a huge, probably a third of trading success is, maybe even more, is emotions, right? Mastering those emotions, truly, truly key. So the Rapskin says you should make a public Telegram group chat. So here's the thing. I used to have one, but it got so big and it got so crowded that it was not beneficial to anybody. That's why I have my VIP group. I reserve space and time and investing into traders and helping them to the people who are willing to put down money. I know it sounds a little bit like greedy or whatever, but it takes a lot of my time out of my day to work with traders, but I don't mind doing it for those people who are serious enough to invest their time and energy in our community. That's the truth, right? So Ken says, I try to make everyone live once. Work dictates that, but what I miss, I watch the replay. I love that. A lot of people are doing that. They watch the replays, and that's, you get a lot of value out of watching these things back, especially reading people's questions, right? Reading people's questions on these live streams is super, super helpful. So Minnie says, use leverage to open lots of small positions, not a few big ones. I love it. I love it. Very good point. And even a lot of small ones can be, if you get too many of them, that can be over leveraging too. But, using small positions just generally is a great way, in my opinion, to trade. So let's move on. Let's do a little bit of a technical analysis. UJ, downtrend. Let's talk about it. Johanna says Euros are. Jonathan Sullivan says USDJPY is going to sell again after the correction. Malik says, how do I get into the VIP Telegram? So Malik, what you can do if you would like to join the team, I'm going to go ahead and share that with you. TraderNickFX.com. This is my website. If you are serious about trading and you want to trade with me and you want to work with me, go to that link, sign up, and I'll set you up. Okay? If you're serious about trading and you like my style and you like what you see here on these streams, get more of it. Come hang out with us. I send out analysis with my stream or analysis with my signals, and we're doing activities and we're doing growth challenges and all sorts of stuff together. If you want to trade with me, if you want to learn from me and the team directly, come join us. We are looking for serious members. If you're serious and dedicated to this stuff, come join us. Seriously. I'm keeping the prices down as low as I possibly can until membership gets a little bit too over. If too many people join, then I'll probably have to raise membership. I don't want to oversaturate it. I want to bring as much value to our community as possible. And that's just being real with you guys. I mean, that's the honest truth. I can't have too many people because then there's not enough of me to go around, and not enough, if there's too much conversation, it's actually a downside, right? So let's see really quick, USDJPY. Let's do our analysis. I'm sorry, guys. I'm all over the place today. You guys are asking too many good questions. I'm going to put the blame on you. USDJPY daily chart. What do we see here? So we mentioned that some people mentioned that we're in a strong downtrend, and I totally agree with that. Obviously, we are in a strong downtrend here. And in fact, one thing I want to add here is check this trend line out. Okay, look at that price break. Kind of a break and now a trend to the downside. We can see sellers stepping in right around these areas. And if price can trace back up to that level of resistance, I think that whoever mentioned that, I can't remember who said that, but whoever did, if we get that retracement, I think that that's a great opportunity potential to see some sell side continuation there. Let's put this little line here. Check this out. I think that resistance point is a pretty good one. Right, you combine that trend line with that resistance zone, might be a nice little trade to the sell side, and we may see that continuation down, make another leg lower here on this trend, right? So we see that potential going lower. Remember, guys, it's important to look at the higher time frames as well as the lower time frames. Let's pop down to the 4-hour and we'll get a clearer picture on that concept, right? Again, sell trend is strong here on USDJPY, but I don't want to be a seller when everybody else is selling. I want to be a seller when price gives me a good opportunity. And I think that the best opportunity that you're going to find here is that bounce off of that lower structure into our supply zone right around this area to potentially look for some continuation to the south side, right? Also, Malik, if you also would like to get into contact with me, anybody who would like to chat with me can send me a message at TraderNick135 on Telegram or Instagram. Ken says, Malik, it's worth every penny. I do appreciate that, Ken, seriously. The cool thing is, I know that I could, if my primary goal was just to make money from traders, I could probably just sell the Lamborghini idea like everybody else. But here's the thing. I have no interest in doing that because it would make me feel really, really dirty. I believe in the product that we offer, and my prices are significantly lower, and I don't plan on making them outrageous ever. I might have to raise them at some point if demand gets high. That's how it goes. But I plan to keep things as low as I possibly can and to welcome people who are serious and genuine as opposed to the people who are looking to just get rich quick. So I do appreciate you saying that, Ken. So do you trade reversals, Nick? Good question. I do. If the setup arises, I trade probabilities, right? There are ways to trade with and against the trend in a way that puts probabilities in your favor. So for example, looking at this, a trend continuation setup might be waiting for this price to pull back to that structural level of where sellers might be hanging out and to see price continue lower. That's a good opportunity for a high probability sell trade on USD JPY. Here's another high probability reversal trade, right? Let's see we get that break. Let's say that we do see buyers step in. Something like this, Ken, to your question about reversals, might be a really good opportunity to get in at a nice trade there. Something else might be a long-term structure, right? Let's look at this daily, right? And there might be a good chance that, let's say that price does rally all the way, and forgive my ugly chart, I know it's terrible right now. So from a reversal standpoint, Ken, to your question there, let's say that price makes its way down to this structural level of support, okay? Long term, right? Long-term support here. If price gets down there, I think that there's a very good chance, right, for buyers to step in and push price up, okay? Right? Price, if it gets down to this point, that's against this trend, right? The trend would be down in that case. But long term, that's a value zone for buyers. We've seen strong buyers twice push price up. And so on that third bounce, good chance we see buyers step in, right? That's a totally counter trend, but it could be a great opportunity for traders, right? Ken says, so it's determining which probability is going to work. Exactly, which is likely to work. We can't know what's going to work, and that's what so many traders get hung up on, is they say, oh, you know, Nick, you were wrong about the market, or oh, Nick, you were right about the market. You know, it's funny how that works, is because you make one call, and if you're right, they think you're amazing, and if you're wrong, then they think you know nothing. And that's simply not how probability works, right? Probability stands for, if we take 100 trades, are we going to win 60 or are we going to win 40? And what's our risk to reward? That's where it kind of comes down to what's overall going to matter. Okay, so good questions there. Gary says cheap for the value received. I appreciate that, Gary. Right now, I'll be honest with you, our signals are struggling, and I'm not afraid to say that because overall, I've been doing this long enough that I know that things will likely come back around. But during times like this where markets are struggling and there's a lot of kind of big strong sell-offs and stuff like that, you're going to have a little bit of trouble. And my signals have been doing a little bit less than usual, and I'm not afraid to say that because I believe in my trading. I've been doing it for quite some time, and overall we're still profitable by a significant amount. So again, just in favor of transparency. So USD JPY, again, on the daily, that's kind of a long-term support structure. If we do make our way down there, I think that there's going to be strong buying. We'll see what we get if we get down to that level. Let's talk about gold really quick. The big wick will probably fill. That's a good point too, Gary. I saw that as well. Let's look at gold here. And we could probably look at the 4-hour with all this ugly stuff going on that I've got printed on the screen. So, XAU USD, this is gold for whoever asked for that. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. And we'll break down what's going on here. XAU USD, looking at that 4-hour chart. So, what we see interestingly here is that we've come into a long-term resistance point, right? That long-term top is going to be interesting to watch. We'll see if we can get some sell-off there or if we get continuation. If we do get that sell-off, what we mentioned here on the live stream on NFP last week is that if price starts to fall, we could see structure come into play right around here for some sort of temporary bounce, and maybe a longer term level might be right around that 61.8 structure zone of support down here. Right, this point right here may act as a potential support level, but I would not be surprised to see this thing really sell off because a lot of times when you get those big movements, when the trend is up, when the gig is up, people start to sell it off and reverse it pretty strong. But again, we don't know that gold is necessarily going to come down. My bias is that we see some sort of seller resistance here at that level up top here, but we could entirely possibly continue to the upside, and if we do, right, we could see a break of that structure, and we'll see where the next leg goes higher. There's really not too much to talk about here in recent times when talking about gold as far as a resistance point. I guess you could say if we get on the daily chart, you have this level here, right? If we do see that, we could see gold head up to 1365, that area, right? That's entirely something that we could see maybe in the next couple weeks or months. So something to look for there on gold. Again, the overall trend very, very strong to the upside now. We've seen price, we saw this long-term buy trend kind of go on, and now we've seen that retracement, and now here's our continuation. We'll see if we can break through that resistance and go higher, or if we're going to get some sort of sell-off. My bias, again, is that price is looking stretched to the upside. I think we're going to see some sort of retracement before we potentially head up to test that structural high and kind of continue that long-term trend. Hopefully that makes sense there on gold. Was that helpful to you guys on gold? I got my iced water again. It's literally frozen over. I've let it sit on the desk for a little bit to get rid of the ice. Guys, yesterday was a really, really crazy stream. I don't know, for those of you guys who were or were not here, we had NFP yesterday. And I think our top number at one point in the stream was 112 people. I've never had that many people tune into a stream. That was really, really exciting. It was really cool to see everybody in here. We also did a giveaway. And we watched the release, talked about all sorts of trading ideas and good stuff there. But yeah. Seems like the stream's been going for about 35 minutes or so. I'm probably going to cut it off here. Really just wanted to hang out with you guys. Happy Saturday to everybody. I hope you had a great yesterday. I hope you had a great Friday night. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I do appreciate you tuning in. I know a lot of you regulars are here and you show up to every stream, but it is Saturday, so take some time. Go spend some time with your family. I believe, Ken, you had a graduate in the family. That's awesome. Good for you. Saw your Instagram. Do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch you on the next one. I think I'm going to do a stream tomorrow. Actually, I know I'm going to do a stream for pre-market analysis tomorrow, so make sure you tune into that. Again, thank you guys very much for being here, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks again.